This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
And we had this spray that would make it blue. And I was just like out there trying to make her hair blue with the spray. We're like trying to get everything ready. My wife was shooting today. And, then my 3-year-old, he wants to have blue hair. And I'm like, all right, I'm trying to give him some blue hair. And then it's just never blue enough for her. And I yell, and I was like, it's blue. It's blue. This is as blue as it gets. And I was just like, why am I yelling? I'm yelling about the dumbest thing in the entire world.
Welcome to Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan. I'm Dr. Dan. This show is about making the world a more loving, accepting, and compassionate place, one parent, one person, and one child at a time. The key to raising healthy and engaged kids is for us parents to seek the same in our own lives while striving to be the best versions of ourselves each day. No matter who you are or where you came from, with increased awareness, you can be purposeful about leaving a healthy footprint for your children, your family, and all those you care about while living your own life to the fullest. Today's show is Comedian Dad with Kurt Braunohler. Kurt is a comedian and co-host of Exactly Right's podcast, Bananas. He once hired a skywriter to write, "How do I land in the sky over LA?" That's a true story.
That is true.
He's been in a bunch of TVs and movies, including The Big Sick, awesome, Fox's Bob's Burgers, and Showtime's Black Monday. There are so many more. I'm not going to say them, but the list goes on and on and on. Kurt's 1-hour stand-up special, Trust Me, premiered on Comedy Central, and he regularly appears on late-night sets on Conan, The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, The Late Night Show with Seth Meyers, and The Late Late Show with James Corden. I know you guys have seen him everywhere. On Bananas, he and his partner Scotty discuss the strange, fascinating, and just plain banana news from around the world. And finally, Kurt has a stand-up special coming out tomorrow from when we're recording today, which we're going to talk about. And I was laughing my ass off yesterday as I was watching it. Kurt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Dan.
Good to get back together. We are Exactly Right siblings.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this a long time with Bananas, but we're going to talk all about that. But I want to back up for a sec.
Yeah.
Because there's so many questions I've been dying to ask you, like the road to becoming a comedian. Mm-hmm. I know everyone's is a bit different, but tell us yours.
Mine was, I moved to New York in 1998 when I was 22 and didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was working at a bakery and I saw my buddies perform their level 1 graduation show at Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, which is an improv theater in New York, at least it used to be. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I took my first class and I was like, oh, I want to do comedy for the rest of my life. Like it was immediately the first time I was on stage doing long form improv. And so I did improv for like 7 years and had a day job the whole time. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at this, but why can't I get rid of my day job? And I was like, I need to start writing. So started this variety show called Hot Tub with Kristen Shaw in 2005. And my 29th birthday is when we started it. And that's when I started doing stand-up when I was 29. And so it's been 17 years now. And just been, and now I'm having my third hour that'll be coming out.
Which is a tremendous accomplishment. And so how old were you when you went to New York and you're like, okay, this is my thing? Early 20s?
22.
22,
yep.
Yeah. So were you the funny guy growing up? Or, the sarcastic guy? Or did this just sort of like bubble up?
It was not. I wasn't the sarcastic guy. I was never class clown or anything like that. I was relatively studious in school. I was more like the goofball, and I was always in plays.
Theater.
So in high school, I was the theater kid.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in college, the same, doing theater, but always doing it at places that didn't have theater programs. So my high school had a theater program, but my college did not. And so it was all self-produced stuff that just the students would organize. Which I think was very helpful for me, because then when I went to New York, I never had an infrastructure. So I was always used to self-producing things. So that came very easily to me once I was in New York City.
I love hearing about people following their dreams and passions and then taking that leap. And I'm wondering, from that day job transition to, okay, I can do this. Was that risky? Was that scary? Or was it, you're like, no, like this is happening?
It was, so I was fixing computers. I had been working at a TV production. After I worked at the bakery, I worked at a TV production company, and it was wonderful. It was like a mom and pop creative production company, making commercials mostly. And really I decided that I wanted to do comedy, but I just saw, the job I had was too close to it, if that makes sense. Like I could very easily have gone down that role of just staying in on the other side of the camera and doing production, because it would eventually would pay very well. And it was creative enough. And so I decided to quit and get a job I hated, so that I would have to make it in comedy.
By design. By design.
design.
You added pressure to the system.
I added a job that I didn't give a shit about, and that wasn't very hard. And so I started fixing. Also, I know nothing about computers. I had an English and philosophy degree, and like just lied on my resume and said I knew HTML in 2000 or 1999. And they're like, HTML, come on, you fix our computers. And I was like, okay. And so I would just, Yahoo the answers. And I eventually just kept moving my desk until I was in the computer room, which was essentially a closet. But it was like, to me, it was having an office, because I was 4 years old. And then I was I had like a door I could close. And so I just would write comedy, and I would just only work on my own things in that little room. And so then it continued on. And then when I started working with Kristen, we kind of had some success as a double act, and we started like traveling. So I would have to take time off of that job. So at first I just had been like whittling my hours down. So I was like, how about I come in 4 days a week? And they're like, all right. Because I never asked for a raise. I never got a raise in 8 years. It was the exact same amount of money I had 8 years. And they knew that, like, I just kept, instead of getting a raise, I just kept working less and less and less, but keeping my health insurance, which was important to me.
Yes.
And then the first time we went to Melbourne Comedy Festival. So that was a month. So I had to take a month off work. And they're like,
that's significant.
That's significant.
Yeah.
And then I came back and they're like, okay. And then I went to Edinburgh, and that was a month. And then they're like, all right. And then it was okay. And then the third time I asked to take a month off to go to another comedy festival, they're like, you can't do this. You can't do this. And I was like, yeah, I know. They're like, so we're going to fire you. And I was like, great. And then, because I needed to get fired. so that I could get unemployment. I was never going to quit that job.
Yeah.
And then just that unemployment that had lasted, I guess, for like 6 months, that was what kind of bridged the gap into me just doing comedy full time.
Wow. Okay, few thoughts. First of all, one is what you were doing behind that closed doors is what so many young people are doing now with their virtual jobs. It's like they get paid to do something, but then they're doing something else on their couch or in their bed the whole time. I love it.
Yes.
You were like totally ahead of it.
Yeah.
And with your bosses, it's like I think of the parents where the teenager or the young adult is like just waiting for your parents to say, no, you can't do that, or just to cut you off. You're like, really? I still get to do this? And finally they're like, no. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I got fired, I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. You are right. You should have fired me months ago.
So I watched this. I watched your stand up yesterday, and I literally, everyone, you have to see this. Our show this will be out. His show will be out by the time you hear this, and I'm so curious as to, because you make it's so natural. It just flows. I'm sure you're probably critical of yourself, knowing what you wanted to say or when you wanted to say it. But to me, it's like, it's so natural. It just flows, and you bring everything back, and the content, some of the content, which we will touch upon. What is the process of writing and practicing an hour show?
Well, when you look at it as an hour, it seems like overwhelming. But in my head, they're all broken out into bits. So it's really you have each small piece memorized. So it's just in your mind remembering like, okay, this next thing is next. And then once you start going into it, it's, it's all kind of muscle memory almost. But it can't be too much muscle memory, because then the audience doesn't feel connected to it. So it is finding a way to these things that you've said so many times before, finding a way to invest, stakes for emotional stakes for yourself while you're on stage.
Okay.
But yeah, the way I primarily write is I take a lot of notes, everyday situations. And then when I sit down to actually like write some stand up, which is usually only motivated by when I have to do a show, then I'll actually just like look at some of the bits, maybe write it out. And then I'll bullet point them and then I'll I literally type them into a Dual Doc. And then I'll transfer them into my comedy book that I bring on stage with me. So that'll just have like a larger bullet points for the first time I do the joke. And then by like the second or third time I do the joke, it's just a word.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like dad. And then you like just go off on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There was there's a piece of the show. I want to say so much, but people have to they have to get it for themselves. So I'm just going to try to hit it in the right way, and you'll tell me if I'm doing too much here.
No worries.
There's a piece from, we're going to go into you becoming a parent here, and there's a piece where you talk about going from one child to two children and talking to a friend, and I just stopped it. I filmed it and I sent it to my wife right there, that little 40-second bit. Yeah. And I'm like, just watch this. And we were just howling because we completely relate to that experience and beyond.
Yeah.
So how has parenthood, has it changed the way I know it's changed the way you do life, but has it changed the way that you do comedy or think about things?
That's a great question. I don't think it's changed the way I do comedy, but I do realize that, like, my daughter is 5 right now. I do realize that at a certain, everything that I'd ever done in comedy, I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll have kids. Maybe someday they'll be able to see this stuff. But I would always they're not even going to be interested. They're not going to care. It's just going to be so old. They'll watch it when I'm dead or whatever. But now the thing that I'm kind of coming into understanding is that there's now seeing my daughter as more of a human being.
Yeah.
Being at some point she will see this, so being conscious of not talking too specifically about her or her brother, but kind of talking more in generalities about them.
Yeah.
But no, it hasn't changed. The only thing it's really changed is that I'm just on the road less. Like I choose to not go out on the road as much. Yeah.
This show is about awareness, and in listening to your stand-up, where you talk a fair bit about your parents. Tell us about some of these awarenesses that all of a sudden crop up when you are now a parent and looking at your parents and being like, like that probably should have gone a little different for me. And I want to do this a little different for my kids.
It is very interesting because my parents got divorced when I was 2. And so my mom raised me, and she was a pediatric nurse, and my dad lived very far away, and I would see him, not very often. But the stark difference between their parenting styles was fascinating. My mom was all about unconditional love. Like that was her whole thing. Thank God, because I needed a lot of that because this was a crazy kid. And then my dad, has had 4 wives. He has 8 children. As far as a dad, he's just, I'm sure he thinks of himself as a dad, but I don't know if his actions are ever very dad-like, in that way. And so it's almost like he's had 8 children, but it's just, it's almost like happenstance for his life. It seems.
Right. Yeah.
So that is the interesting thing. The main thing that I took away from when I became a parent is that I think when you become a parent is the first time you recognize that your parents were human beings outside of being your parents. And that is because my mom died right before we found out my wife was pregnant, and for the first time. And so that was this whole thing of like, as soon as I became a parent, I was like, I had a million questions for her, and couldn't ask her those questions. That was like the main thing that I just found so difficult about being a parent.
Well, and what I gathered from that, in watching and hearing about some about your story, was you have one parent who's no longer with you, who was a guiding light and support, and wise and caring, and did heroic work. And then you have your dad, who is not really there, hasn't quite role modeled much, and from what I gather, is not someone you would go to ask a parenting question.
Yeah.
And so what's it? Yeah. So how do you do this? Is it all based on your own experiences and deciding how you want to try to do things differently? Or do you have other people, other parent mentors that you do look to for some guidance?
I think it's really just my wife and I talking about it all the time. And, after discussing it, like our goals for the kids are like kindness and always trying, like never giving up. That's like kind of the things. It's not, we don't want to make it accomplishment based, but rather an attempt based, because especially that really resonates with our lives. My wife and I's life. My wife is a writer and an actor, and this industry is just failure after denial after failure after denial. And it's just about not giving up. That's all it is. It's just about not giving up. And so that's kind of where we've been kind of like focused on for the kids. And I know it's just going to get more complicated as they get older.
Yeah.
But that's what, we've just been,
nice.
That's what we've been focused on.
Well, nice. And so a few things there. I want to highlight for you and for everyone listening that it is huge to actually have parental goals, because in my experience as a parent, and also as doing my work with families over the years and parents, it's amazing how people often go about parenting, all of like go about parenting of like, oh, we're just going to raise our kids. But if in our business lives, we're like, okay, what's our goal? What's our business plan? How are we going to execute? But when it comes to parenting, we're like, all right, we're just going to like feed them and love them. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But when you have a goal, you can actually back out how you're going to handle each situation based on your guiding principles. It's actually a wonderful model for thinking about how to interact with your kids on a daily basis when you have, okay, I want them to be kind and I want them to try.
Yeah. Yeah. That is like, and that's like it's very nice to have that to fall back on. It's a backbone of because it's very easy to lose your way. It's so easy. They immediately put you in situations where you're like, shit, I haven't thought about this part.
Yeah. Pause. Yeah. That's the other thing I've finally learned as our kids are much older is that we think we have to like react in the moment with our kids, and particularly as your 5-year-old is probably highly verbal and getting older, like all of a sudden there's this human who is like just challenging you intellectually, like behaviorally, emotionally. And when we think we have to act or react in the moment, it often does not go quite well, as if we're like, okay, I just need to think this thing through. Or, you know what, Mom and I just need to have a little moment and we'll get back to you on this. Yeah.
That's actually great. I wish I had done that this morning. It was crazy hair day today for Olive's kindergarten. And I think a thing she struggles with is because she has a very good imagination. She's highly verbal. She can imagine a future state of things that is not realistic. And so she thinks her hair is going to be like insane, look like snakes or something. And it's just like, well, it's going to be in a bunch of weird ponytails and we had like this spray that would make it blue. Oh yeah. And I was just like out there, like trying to make her hair blue with the spray. We're like trying to get everything ready. My wife was shooting today. And, then my 3-year-old, he wants to have blue hair. And I'm like, all right, I'm trying to give him some blue hair. And then it's just never blue enough for her. And I yell, and I was like, it's blue. It's blue. This is as blue as it gets. And I was just like, why am I yelling? I mean, I'm yelling about the dumbest thing in the entire world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am flashing of our pictures of Crazy Hair Day right now. And the pictures then become the memories. Like, oh, look how cute. But if you just peel behind that, it's like usually a shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And it is almost Halloween crazy. Yeah. So, oh, yeah, there's a lot to be said by getting the costume just right as well. Do your kids, do they know what they're going to be? Has that been a thing?
Yes, they do know what they're going to be. Gus has been pretty set the whole time. He's like, dog, I'm a dog. And we're like, great,
nice,
love
perfect.
it.
Yeah.
And Olive has changed her mind a bunch, but I think she's settled on a light up octopus. So we had to figure out how to put these like light up lights on this octopus costume.
Oh, very cool.
So that's a job for later today.
That is. And I'm sure it'll be just bright enough. There's going to be no problems. It's bright. It's bright. So, humor in like, how much do you use humor? Actually, let me ask this way. How much do you use humor in your regular life as just kind of who you are? And then how does it translate to parenting or using it in your parenting?
I think, I think we're always laughing. I think, it's either like laughing or stressed. And those are like the two two like modes in the house. But I think with the kids, I think it's just a goofiness. It's just like a general goofiness that that I think Lauren and I both kind of foster with both of them. And, but we still take things seriously. There's a goofiness, but things are still serious. Which I think is, it's just like the natural way I think I go through the world.
And then with bananas, I feel like the world just helps your show on a daily basis, right?
Oh,
like,
yes. Yeah.
partly are you like, oh my God, this is really happening, and oh, this is great stuff for our How did Bananas come to be?
It was actually a TV pilot that Scotty and I had made years ago for Comedy Central, and it never went anywhere. And so we kind of retooled it and renamed it. And, it was just all about strange news. And, I think we just love what Scotty and I both love is just the idea of like kind of a celebration of the beautiful absurdity of the world.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So beautiful absurdity gives me a little more hope than shit show.
Yeah.
I like that. Humans are absurd creatures,
yes.
aren't we?
Yes.
I mean, we're fascinating. Yeah. What have you learned about humanity through Bananas? I mean, you're pulling from all over the world. Like this stuff happens everywhere.
There's the things that we love the most are the things that where things are done for no discernible reason other than the person likes it or thinks it's interesting. I love those things, because I think we are inundated with, if anything's ever like wacky or strange, there tends to be a not a capitalist reason behind it, right?
Yeah.
It's like this weird thing. Oh, it's an advertising campaign, or this, or this person's doing this thing. Oh, it's to promote their podcast, or this thing, or this is so that they'll get more likes on TikTok so that they can get money and a deal. But to find those true, strange, strange events and people that are just done for the pure joy of living. Those are the things I think that we love the most.
Mm-hmm. Does researching and doing the show enhance your life? I mean, by diving into humanity this way, is it like, like the humor is medicine, laughter is medicine? Does it do something for you?
Oh yeah. And also, I mean, if nothing else, it's a lot. It's very easy to have small talk at parties because I have 1 billion dumb news stories at my fingertips at all times that I can tell people about and we can have a conversation about.
Mm-hmm. I do think in our times, well, everyone always wonders, like, are these times harder than previous times? And, there's all this debate, but these times are complex, and the research shows over and over that like laughter and humor enhances mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
And it's so needed.
Oh yeah. It's like, especially like just hormonally, just with the, I think it drives cortisol down when you're laughing, it does all these really healthy things for your brain, which is great. Mm-hmm. Good news for me.
Good news for you. It's like it's just like a positive part of your job.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
So now as a parent And as you are out in the world and you are researching about the world and the complexities of the world, how do you manage thinking about raising your kids into this emerging, evolving world we are living in?
Well, the main thing is that I really truly don't think that could ever anticipate what the challenges that they'll face in the future are. There'll be things that we don't even understand at this point. Like once I always think about VR. I do think like VR is going to become a really huge part of my kids' lives. And there's going to be issues in there that we cannot possibly predict. In the same way that we couldn't predict like depression and suicide from adolescent girls using Instagram, like that sort of thing. And so and I think that this is like always you're just trying to prepare them and give them the tools that they have to be able to weather whatever those crazy things are in the future. And it really just comes back to kind of like the goals that I have as a parent, which is kindness, obviously always making sure that they feel loved and that the attempt to try to do is far more important than success. And that really comes back to something I learned back when I was teaching improv, was that I always would talk about, there's this thing called there's the back line when you're improvising, where it's like all the people who are not in a scene, they're on the back line, and then the stage is kind of in front of them. And it's that act of stepping out onto the stage and committing to action that actually happens prior to thought. And that action prior to thought is really the most important action, because that actually forces you to have to speak. If you sit on the back line and wait to think of something witty to say, you'll stay on the back line for forever and you'll actually never get out and do anything. But that action, that commitment to action prior to thought, I think is so critical. I always used to refer to it as like the Big Bang, like the effort to create something out of nothing. And so I really want to instill in my kids that desire to make, to create, to try is more important than whatever it is that happens at the end of that.
Nice. Okay, there's so much there. I mean, there's so much there for stepping into life, and it's also something about trusting your instincts, because as you step out from that line, you're kind of going by a feeling, right? And an impulse where it isn't all figured out. And then once you commit, then you just bring your best self to the situation, and it either you kill it or you flop or whatever. But it's that having the confidence to step out is such a wonderful metaphor for life.
Yeah. You either kill it or you bomb, but you lived. Either way, you lived.
Yeah. Do you, because I'm thinking about anxiety, which is a big thing these days, and parental anxiety, which is a huge thing these days for lots of legitimate reasons. And from the actors that I have talked to over the years, I do get a sense that some do have a lot of performance anxiety that they deal with, and there are others that don't. And so where do you fall on the continuum?
I am long time ago, still when I was improvising, someone said that nervousness, that anxiety you have is simply undirected energy. And that if you can direct it into what you actually need to do, then you can take something that is a hindrance and make it a tool. And so I've kind of worked on that through the years. Anytime you feel that kind of, especially, I feel it most succinct, and I'm doing the Tonight Show in a couple weeks, and
nice.
The most succinctly when I do a late night set, because there is this, the show is going on and they do live to tape. It's not live, but it feels like it's live because everything happens the way it happens in the show. And then you're the last thing at the end of the show. And there's, the famous celebrity guests are sitting on the couch with Jimmy Fallon. And then you're standing behind a curtain and two like union dudes, union stagehands are like just sitting there, just huge dudes covered in tattoos. And they got like a hand on either side. And then you're just waiting for the countdown and it just goes. And then they just pull the curtain apart and you step out and just do your thing.
My heart's fluttering right now, just imagining that.
And so it's about turning that anxiety into excitement to perform, and it's a very conscious, like trying to, you almost like physically channel it into different parts of your body. So, like to go do like a normal set, you get like, you can feel adrenaline kick in.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily make me scared.
Yes. Well, and that's a good differentiator because adrenaline is the driver of anxiety. It's one of the main main ingredients. And so often we have pregame jitters or we have adrenaline and we can easily think about, oh God, I'm scared. Something bad's going to happen. But if we channel it to like, no, I'm just amped. I'm pumped. Let's do this. It becomes a mindset becomes the key.
Right, exactly. Because that adrenaline, if you go back, like, I'm no evolutionary biologist, but that adrenaline that so often, goes into our anxiety was also what allowed us to have that additional energy to catch that prey or whatever, do whatever they're doing on the savannah. I don't know, but
yeah. Well, as I was hearing you talk about your outlook or your perspective for your kids and that you can't even anticipate the challenges in this future that will become that they will deal with. It to me is a model for anti-anxiety parenting because you're really staying present with, okay, all I can control is like today I had to get their hair blue. Yeah. And tonight I got to get some lights and I want them to be good people and try hard. And that's what I can focus on. And I can't even deal with the unknown out there because who knows? Right. So that is a very present-based, non-anxious parenting paradigm. Is it conscious? Or as I'm talking to you, you're like, oh yeah, I guess so.
It's more, oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just go down a rabbit hole of like, imagining the worst case scenario. I just simply, I don't do it and I can't do it because it simply seems like a waste of my mental energy.
Oh, that's beautiful. Everyone listening, we're going to take a page from Kurt. Like, it's like, because so many of us, for lots of real reasons, are worried about what's coming next and what's going to happen and what might not happen and what if. And the what ifs are terrible. They're terrible. Like we're wrestling with an imaginary monster in the future that doesn't even exist. And so much energy goes there that takes us away from what we need to be doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And my wife and I want to get this tattoo. Neither of us have any tattoos. But we're thinking about getting our very first one, which is, this is temporary.
Nice.
And we had thought about it because it also works as a funny tattoo too, because it's not a temporary tattoo. But it was just because we had a lot of problems with our youngest. He had a couple, minor physical problems, but that caused him to cry and not eat. So he was always crying and not eating for 3 years.
Wow.
And it was just tough. Very, very stressful. But what kept us grounded was like, this is temporary, and that is such a good thing to remember about all of parenting.
Yes.
That like change is the only constant in life. We both, I actually have the I Ching around here, the book of changes that, ancient Chinese book. And we throw the bones, as they say it, every once in a while. but just to know that like every moment, like the thing that you're struggling with your child right now is not going to be the thing you're struggling with your child in a year. It's going to be a new struggle.
That's gold right there, because it's so true. It's also true on the opposite. When you're just having the best moments, you need to relish them, because those are temporary as well. It's a roller coaster. And it's all part of their journey. And as most people say, it's our kids are the ones that shine a light on us and a mirror on us of all of the aspects of ourself that are lying dormant, or are things that we need to become aware of, or just triggers. And it's this wonderful petri dish of it's kind of a game.
Yeah.
Not to minimize it, but it's kind of this game of life. They had something with that board game there.
Yeah.
So what do you wish and hope that people get from your comedy, your talent, and your presence on the stage?
A long time ago, I sat down to write out my reason for existence for being a stand-up comedian. And the line I came up with was to insert absurdity into the world to make the world a better place. And I just hope that I hope that I can insert an appreciation for, as I said before, the absurd beauty of this world. The absurd beauty of being a human being. It's so strange and weird and cool and sad and happy, and
all of it.
It's all of it.
Yeah, it makes me think of Zorba the Greek, the full catastrophe, right? Like life is like it's everything. Like it's just everything. Kind of like, and I love this perspective of absurdity and of I'm getting of like almost of like curiosity and wonder. Like this human experience with other human beings on this planet is really absurd.
Yeah. I remember recently I was with a friend, and we were at this place that I was like fascinated by. I do think I have like I get like little childlike fascinations with things and places sometimes. And I just kept talking about it. I was like, I can't believe this place exists. Like, this is so strange. Like, I want to know the history of it and all this sort of thing. And he turned to me and he said, he's like, well, you know what? You should just Google it, because this is getting boring. And I was just like, oh, I don't think we're friends anymore. And I was like, you don't want to continually talk about this fascinating thing that's so exciting to me? It's like, all right, yeah, we'll just Google it. Google has ruined so much. Google has taken away all of our not knowingness, and it's. I mean, I love Google, but it is there is a loss there.
Yes. There is, and you're reminding me of something that I couldn't stand growing up. And every time when I would ask my mom like what this word was, or what this word means, or what this thing was, and she would say, well, let's look it up in the dictionary, or like let's look in the encyclopedia. And like, no, just tell me. And Mom, because I know you are listening, I greatly now appreciate what you were doing, and it was really good parenting. And now our kids don't even need to struggle like that. We don't even struggle like that. Hey, what's that? Boop. And now we have like 3 pages on what it is. All right, next.
And so a video of explaining it too.
Yes. So, what will you do? How do you think you will handle this with your kids when it comes to the easiness? Like, you're so blessed; they don't have phones yet, and all of that stuff. Like, how do you imagine? I know this is like I'm dropping this on you, but how do you imagine you will find the balance of using these tools as great learning tools, and also for you to instill this wonder of a curiosity and absurdity?
I think for the tech side, I think we're just going to be very strict about it. About they're not getting like they have like tablets that they can access that we keep obviously away from them at all times.
Yes.
But like for like specific instances, like plane trips and stuff like that, they can have access to these tablets. And I think it's just about, and it's so hard because these technologies are invented, they're purposefully created to, create dopamine drops in the brain so that you want to use them over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
And so it is a lot of crying and it is a lot of whining. And it's just, I think that's going to be the hardest part for my wife and I, is to not just slowly acquiesce to them using it more and more, but having a very hard and fast rules about them. Because that is the toughest part.
It is. And your reasoning is sound, and may the force be with you on that
Thank you.
It is, yes.
I know it's going to be hard.
Oh, it's so hard. But the point you're making, and for everyone listening, just to remember when you are battling with your kids and teenagers over their devices, it truly is a scientifically orchestrated dopamine suck designed to have your kids have withdrawal and meltdowns, just like you do when you're trying to stop scrolling and Netflixing, and you can't either. Like it's science. So it's hard.
Yeah, there's a documentary called The Social Dilemma, which has its problems as a documentary. But I always think about this one metaphor. It's not even really a metaphor, that it's actually like when you're looking into the glass of your like computer, what's looking back at you is an incredibly powerful artificial intelligence that is looking at everything about you, about what your pupils and your eyes are doing, where on the page you're looking, to just continually get you to ask for more, and that is, to think about it that way, that there is an intelligence inside that thing that is manipulating you, is fascinating.
Crazy. Okay, quick related tangent. Then we're moving on to the parent footprint moment question. But to your point, this is a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
We were talking with a friend. A friend was asking where one of our kids was going to college. We said, and he was visiting from out of state. He goes back home, and on his phone, all of a sudden, he's getting ads from the college that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Right. So like his phone was listening to our conversation. Right.
Yeah.
Like this is a real thing.
Yeah.
Absurd. That's the beautiful absurdity of being human. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's just such a like that is going to be like, I think a big challenge for our kids is interacting with artificially intelligent systems.
Yes.
Like, which is so, and that's the thing, was like, I have no idea what those problems are going to be like.
Yes, no, and Terminator will never happen. That thing will never happen, everyone. So just put that to rest. We don't
not
need that.
needed.
Okay, Kurt, here we go. Parent footprint moment question.
Yes.
Tell us about a time that you became aware of yourself as an individual, as a parent, or even an awareness of your own parents. And that new awareness had a positive impact on your life, your kids, and or those you love and care about.
I think it was a moment where I realized that my mom was a single parent. This was when I had one kid, not even had two kids. And Lauren and I were deeply struggling. But I had a moment where I just was like, oh, my mom did this all by herself the whole time. And I couldn't reach out to her and, ask her about it or anything like that, because she'd already passed away. So that it just gave me such a much deeper appreciation for how good of a job that she did do.
Yeah.
And, there's always like that, if your parents are still alive, talk to them, tell them stuff, tell them stuff that you might not, because you'll want to tell them later. Like that's my,
Yeah, that's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Wisdom. And it is amazing how once we step into the adult stages that we see things so differently. We see upbringing differently, our parents differently, and often with appreciation or at least humility.
Yeah. No, I remember my friend Matt, when I had a kid, told me, he's like, you know what I realized after I had kids is that there's two types of people in the world. There's parents and there's children. and if you haven't become a parent, you're still a child. So I was just like, wow, it's really so true.
Yeah, so true. So true. Well, your mother did an amazing job of raising you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Dan.
Yes.
Your mother did a great job. You did a great job, too.
Did you hear that, Mom?
Mom's watching.
You hear that? She is. Yeah. Okay. You too, Dad. You're listening too. Dad, we're not going to leave you out here. Okay, so tell everyone, Kurt, your stand-up is coming out tomorrow. Perfectly Stupid.
Yes.
Headlining, right? Tell everyone.
You can go see it from October 27th to like November 11th. You can see it on moment.co, which is kind of a new platform for comedians to bring their specials directly to fans. Costs $10 and it'll be there for 2 weeks. You can watch it. And then after that, it will go up on your iTunes and your Amazons and stuff like that.
Awesome. You guys, it is freaking hilarious. And I just had to like bite my tongue throughout our time together because I was just going to like be dropping all of your like little like, it's so funny. Go do that. Also then, how do people continue? Obviously Bananas,
Yes, Bananas. You can just, it comes out every Tuesday. It's on Exactly Right. Go listen to us talk about the strange news of the world and tell our own personal funny stories.
And then all of your stand-up gigs and your late night appearances, do those get aggregated someplace where people can watch them?
Yeah, you can go to my website, kurtbraunohler.com.
All right, you better spell that because I could barely say it.
You can just Google Kurt Comedy, Kurt B Comedy.
Yes, because it's easy to see and harder for guys like me to read. Kurt,
I should buy the website Kurt B Comedy. I should do that.
There you go. Right now. Did you make a note? Put in your little notebook. He is, everyone. He's putting it in there. All right. That's Kurt Braunohler.
KurtBComedy.com.
Braunohler.
That's it.
Kurt, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Dan.
And thank you for making my day yesterday a very fun day. And I am actually going to constantly think about the beautiful absurdity of being a human in this world. All right. With that, everyone, thank you for listening. Please share this show with anyone and everyone who you know loves comedy, loves real people, and loves to look at the world in a unique way. We need to laugh. We need to find hope. And we need to have wonder about our human experience. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to do. Try to be that person you want your child to become and ask yourself the guiding question I ask myself each day. What footprint do you want to leave? This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Strummer Man, composed and performed by Pro Tunes. Artwork is by Garrett Ross. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Parent Footprint Podcast and on Twitter at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, go to exactlyrightmedia.com.